Welcome to TrueCrime Unveiled Podcast. Dive deep into the mysteries that captivate us.
If you appreciate this episode, please consider liking and subscribing to support us.
In the quiet, rural landscape of Montgomery, Vermont, a place where life moved at a slower pace, a young woman named Brianna Maitland vanished without a trace. It was March 19, 2004, a Friday.
Brianna, just 17 years old, clocked out from her job at the Black Lantern Inn, a local restaurant. She was seen driving away in her car, a dark green Oldsmobile sedan. That was the last confirmed sighting of her. This seemingly ordinary departure marked the beginning of a chilling enigma that continues to haunt investigators and the community to this day. What happened to Brianna after she left work? Where did she go? These questions form the heart of a perplexing mystery we'll be exploring in this episode. Brianna's disappearance wasn't immediately treated as suspicious. Initially, it was thought she might have run away, a theory fueled perhaps by the complexities of adolescence. She was, after all, a teenager. However, as days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, the lack of any contact from Brianna became increasingly alarming. Her family and friends knew her well enough to understand that this was out of character. She wasn't the type to simply disappear. There were no signs of struggle, no indication of foul play at the scene where her car was later found. And yet, Brianna was gone. This unsettling absence began to paint a picture far more sinister than a simple runaway case. The discovery of Brianna's car added another layer to the unfolding mystery. Just a short distance from the Black Lantern Inn, her Oldsmobile was found abandoned, backed into the side of an old farmhouse known locally as the Dutchburn property. The car was locked, and some of Brianna's personal belongings, including her wallet and medication, were still inside. The scene offered few clues.
There was no damage to the vehicle suggesting an accident, and no signs of a struggle in the immediate vicinity. The car's position, backed into the building, seemed odd, almost deliberate, as if someone wanted to conceal it quickly. The location itself, this abandoned farmhouse, added an eerie element to the already disturbing circumstances.
Before that fateful day, Brianna Maitland lived a seemingly ordinary life in the small, close-knit community of Sheldon, Vermont. Picture this: rolling green hills, dairy farms dotting the landscape, a place where neighbors knew each other, and life moved at a slower pace. Brianna, just 17 years old, was known for her quiet nature, her love of animals, and her artistic talent. She was a student at Missisquoi Valley Union High School, working part-time as a dishwasher at the Black Lantern Inn, a local restaurant just a short drive from her home. Witnesses recall her as a responsible and dedicated young woman, always punctual and rarely involved in any trouble. She was described as having a close relationship with her family and was looking forward to attending culinary school after graduation, a dream that tragically never materialized. It's a stark contrast to the mystery that would soon engulf her life and leave this peaceful community shaken to its core. Sheldon, Vermont, a town where the rhythm of life was dictated by the changing seasons, where the sound of tractors and the sight of cows grazing in pastures were commonplace. Brianna was a part of this fabric, a thread woven into the community tapestry. She lived with her parents and younger sister in a modest home. Friends and family described her as a typical teenager, navigating the complexities of adolescence, with hopes and dreams for the future. She enjoyed spending time with her loved ones, drawing in her sketchbook, and caring for the animals on the family's small farm. There were no apparent signs of distress, no indication that anything was amiss in Brianna's life. The calmness of her surroundings and the ordinariness of her days make the suddenness of her disappearance all the more baffling. It's like a piece of a puzzle forcibly removed, disrupting the whole picture. It's important to establish this backdrop of normalcy, of a life seemingly untouched by the darkness that was about to descend. This contrast helps us understand the profound impact Brianna's disappearance had on those who knew her and the community as a whole. Imagine a town where everyone knows everyone else, where doors are often left unlocked, and where a sense of security permeates daily life. Then, suddenly, one of their own vanishes without a trace. The fear, the uncertainty, and the suspicion that followed must have been palpable. It's a scenario that shatters the illusion of safety and forces residents to confront the unsettling reality that even in the most idyllic settings, the unthinkable can occur. This sets the stage for the investigation and the search for answers that would consume the community in the days, weeks, and years to come.
Absolutely. Understanding Brianna's life before her disappearance, the environment she lived in, and the relationships she held dear is crucial for piecing together the puzzle of her vanishing. This quiet, rural setting, where crime was a rarity, amplified the shock and bewilderment that rippled through the community. The image of this young woman, with her whole life ahead of her, simply disappearing into thin air, is deeply disturbing. It raises so many questions. Who would want to harm her? Where did she go? What chain of events led to her vanishing from a place where such occurrences were almost unheard of?
These are the questions that investigators would grapple with and that continue to haunt those who knew and loved Brianna Maitland.
Let's delve deeper into the timeline leading up to Brianna's disappearance. It was March 19, 2004, a Friday. Brianna, just 17 years old, finished her shift at the Black Lantern Inn around 11:20 p.m. She clocked out, got into her car, a beat-up Oldsmobile, and seemingly drove off into the night. Witnesses reported seeing her car pull away from the inn. Nothing unusual, no other cars, no one else around. This seemingly ordinary departure adds to the unsettling nature of the case.
It was a typical workday ending, a route she drove regularly.
And yet she vanished without a trace, leaving behind a puzzle that has baffled investigators for years. Her family and friends maintain that she was happy and had no reason to run away. This leads us to question what could have happened in that short window between her leaving work and her car being found the next day. The discovery of Brianna's car the following day only deepens the mystery. Abandoned about a mile from the Black Lantern Inn, it was backed into an abandoned farmhouse off Route 118. The car was found by a state trooper during a routine patrol. There was no sign of a struggle, no forced entry, and her personal belongings, including her purse and wallet, were still inside.
This discovery paints a confusing picture.
If Brianna had been abducted, why leave her belongings in the car?
If she left voluntarily, why abandon her car so close to her workplace?
The seemingly mundane location of the abandoned car contrasts starkly with the extraordinary circumstances of her disappearance, creating a disquieting sense of unease. This seemingly peaceful rural setting now holds a dark secret. This brings us to a crucial point: the abandoned farmhouse. Known locally as the Old Dutchburn House, this dilapidated structure adds an eerie dimension to the story. Although initially dismissed by investigators, the farmhouse's proximity to where Brianna's car was found cannot be ignored. Was it merely a coincidence, or did it play a more significant role in Brianna's disappearance?
Could someone have been hiding in the farmhouse, watching Brianna as she left work? Could she have gone there willingly? Perhaps meeting someone? The dilapidated state of the farmhouse, shrouded in local legends and stories, casts a long shadow over the investigation. The quiet, familiar landscape suddenly feels different, tinged with a sense of foreboding.
Exactly, the farmhouse introduces a subtle disruption, a shadow in the ordinary. Imagine the scene: a young woman driving home after a late shift, the familiar countryside bathed in the soft glow of moonlight. Everything seems peaceful, routine, but then, the presence of the abandoned farmhouse, its dark windows staring out like empty eyes, introduces a new tension.
It transforms the familiar into something unsettling.
Was Brianna being watched? Did she sense a presence? A threat? The undisturbed state of her car suggests she may have left it voluntarily. Did she perhaps know someone who lived or frequented the farmhouse? These questions linger, highlighting the contrast between the apparent tranquility of the setting and the chilling reality of Brianna's disappearance. Let's delve into the timeline of Brianna's disappearance. It was March 19, 2004, a Friday. Brianna, just 17 years old, finished her shift at the Black Lantern Inn around 11:20 p.m. Colleagues described her as appearing normal, though perhaps slightly agitated. She clocked out, got into her 1985 Oldsmobile Delta 88, and drove away. This is where the known facts begin to thin. Her car was found the next day, backed into the side of an abandoned farmhouse about a mile from the inn. The vehicle's license plate was obscured by a piece of cardboard. It's unclear why she drove to this location, whether she had a prior connection to the farmhouse, or if she met someone there. The sudden shift from her routine raises numerous questions, and her subsequent vanishing acts as the unsettling centerpiece of this mystery.
The discovery of Brianna's car is curious in itself. Witnesses reported seeing a vehicle matching the description of Brianna's Oldsmobile at the farmhouse as early as Saturday morning, hours after she left work. However, the exact time remains uncertain due to conflicting reports. Some witnesses stated the car's rear was facing the farmhouse, while others claimed it was backed in, adding to the confusion. This discrepancy, while seemingly minor, could be crucial in piecing together what happened. Did Brianna back the car in herself? Or did someone else move it after she disappeared? The obscured license plate also raises red flags. Was this an attempt to avoid identification by someone who knew her, or a random act of vandalism? These seemingly small details are precisely where the answers might reside. Inside the car,
Investigators found Brianna's wallet, contact lenses, and some personal belongings. This suggests she didn't plan on being away long and wasn't carrying anything of significant value that might have attracted a robber. The fact that her keys were missing is another perplexing element. Did she take them with her? Were they taken by someone else? It's a question that leads to more questions, further muddying the waters. The lack of signs of a struggle inside the car, coupled with the undisturbed belongings, makes it difficult to determine whether foul play was involved at this initial stage. It's like she just vanished into thin air.
The scene presents more questions than answers, deepening the mystery surrounding Brianna's disappearance.
The abandoned farmhouse where Brianna's car was found becomes a focal point in this case. It was a known local hangout spot, often frequented by teenagers. This detail adds another layer of complexity. Could she have been meeting someone there? Was it someone she knew? Or was she lured there under false pretenses? The lack of definitive witnesses at the farmhouse that night adds to the frustration of the investigation. While several individuals were reportedly seen in the area, no one has come forward with concrete information about Brianna's presence or any unusual activity. This silence, whether intentional or not, has significantly hampered the search for answers. Was there something illicit happening at the farmhouse that night that witnesses are afraid to discuss?
These are questions that continue to haunt investigators.
The vanishing of Brianna Maitland on March 19, 2004, left an immediate void in the small town of Montgomery, Vermont. The scene at the abandoned farmhouse where her car was found became a focal point. The car, a 1985 Oldsmobile Delta 88, was backed into the side of the dilapidated structure, a peculiar detail that fueled initial speculation. Had she hit the building accidentally? Was it staged? Investigators meticulously documented the position of the vehicle, noting the absence of significant damage that would indicate a high-speed impact. Inside, they found Brianna's personal belongings, her wallet, some cash, and her prescription medication.
The unsettling normalcy of these items only deepened the mystery.
There was no sign of a struggle, no indication of what direction she might have gone. The silence at the scene was deafening, broken only by the wind rustling through the overgrown weeds surrounding the derelict house. The initial response involved local law enforcement conducting searches of the immediate area. Family and friends joined in, their hope battling against a rising sense of dread. The first few days were a blur of activity. Flyers were distributed, interviews conducted, and every lead, no matter how small, was pursued. As hours turned into days, the search area expanded, encompassing the surrounding woods, fields, and nearby towns. The local community was close-knit. News of Brianna's disappearance spread quickly, casting a pall over the town. There was a shared sense of disbelief and bewilderment. How could a young woman simply vanish without a trace in such a quiet, rural area?
The fear was palpable, a chilling undercurrent beneath the surface of the ongoing search efforts. The initial theory, understandably, centered on the possibility that Brianna had simply run away. Perhaps she needed some time alone, a temporary escape from the pressures of life. However, this theory quickly lost traction as the investigation progressed. Brianna's family and friends vehemently denied the possibility, emphasizing her responsible nature, her close relationships, and her plans for the future. She had just graduated high school and was excited to begin culinary school. Leaving everything behind, particularly her car and personal belongings, was entirely out of character. This realization solidified the growing concern that something more sinister might have occurred. The abandoned farmhouse, initially viewed as the site of a possible accident, began to take on a more ominous significance, a silent testament to the mystery surrounding Brianna's fate. The timeline of the days leading up to Brianna's disappearance became a critical focus for investigators. She had last been seen leaving her workplace, the Black Lantern Inn, in Montgomery around 11:20 p.m. on March 19th. The drive to her home in Sheldon should have taken less than 20 minutes. Yet, she never arrived. The discovery of her car the next day, approximately a mile from her former workplace, raised more questions than answers. Why was she in that area again? Had she met someone? Was she forced to drive there against her will? The lack of witnesses and the isolation of the location made it incredibly difficult to piece together her movements after she left the Black Lantern Inn. The growing fear wasn't just for Brianna's safety, but also for the unsettling realization that such a mysterious disappearance could happen so close to home. Let's delve deeper into the potential psychological profile of the person responsible for Brianna's disappearance. We're operating, of course, in the realm of speculation, given the lack of a confirmed suspect. However, certain behavioral patterns often emerge in cases like this. The abruptness of Brianna's vanishing,
leaving her car and personal belongings behind, suggests a level of impulsivity. This could point to someone acting on a sudden urge, perhaps triggered by an unexpected encounter or a pre-existing obsession. It's also possible the perpetrator meticulously planned the abduction, choosing a remote location and timing their actions to minimize witnesses. This level of premeditation, conversely, could indicate a more controlled and calculating personality. The contradictory nature of these possibilities underscores the complexity of this case. Precisely. And that complexity extends to the potential contradictions within the perpetrator's outward identity. They could be someone who blends seamlessly into the community, maintaining a facade of normalcy while harboring dark impulses. Consider the case of BTK.
Dennis Rader lived a seemingly ordinary life as a family man and churchgoer while secretly committing horrific crimes. The potential perpetrator in Brianna's case might similarly present a respectable exterior, deceiving those around them. This duality can make these individuals incredibly difficult to identify, as they often don't fit the stereotypical profile of a criminal. Their outward demeanor might even be one of helpfulness or concern, further obscuring their true nature. This makes it all the more crucial to examine every angle, every piece of evidence, to potentially uncover these hidden contradictions. The act of leaving Brianna's car at the scene presents another intriguing psychological element. On one hand, it could be interpreted as a sign of haste, a desperate attempt to flee the scene quickly. Perhaps the perpetrator panicked or feared being seen. On the other hand, it could be a deliberate act designed to mislead investigators. Leaving the car behind might have been a calculated move to make it appear as though Brianna simply walked away, diverting attention from the possibility of foul play. This ambiguity adds another layer to the psychological puzzle we're trying to piece together. It underscores the importance of not jumping to conclusions based on seemingly obvious clues. It's a chilling thought to consider the perpetrator potentially living among us, possibly even following the investigation closely. They might be exhibiting a keen interest in the case, perhaps even offering assistance or expressing concern to deflect suspicion. This manipulative behavior is a hallmark of some individuals who derive a sense of power and control from their actions. They might revel in the attention the case receives, feeding off the fear and uncertainty within the community. This potential for manipulation underscores the importance of treating every piece of information with a degree of skepticism, carefully evaluating its source and potential motives. The truth, as we know, can be elusive, especially in cases as complex as Brianna's disappearance. Let's delve into the investigative efforts following Brianna's disappearance. Initial searches focused on the area surrounding the abandoned farmhouse where her car was found. Police interviewed friends, family, and co-workers, trying to piece together her last known movements and identify any potential conflicts or reasons for her to vanish. One significant challenge was the delayed reporting of her disappearance. The discovery of her car the day after she went missing meant valuable time had already been lost, potentially allowing crucial evidence to degrade or disappear. The initial investigation also explored the possibility of her running away, though this theory was quickly dismissed by her family, who insisted it was completely out of character. This early stage was marked by a sense of urgency mixed with a lack of clear direction, a frustrating combination that often plagues these kinds of investigations. Adding to the complexity of the case were several reported sightings of Brianna in the days and weeks following her disappearance. These accounts came from various locations, some within Vermont and others further afield, creating a confusing web of potential leads for investigators to follow. Unfortunately, none of these sightings could be definitively confirmed, adding to the frustration and uncertainty surrounding the case. One particularly distressing element for the family was the absence of any concrete evidence. No witnesses came forward who had seen her leave the restaurant, and the scene at the abandoned farmhouse offered few clues. The car itself yielded little forensic evidence, leaving investigators with limited tangible information to work with. Further hindering the investigation were a series of purported communications and supposed leads that ultimately turned out to be hoaxes or dead ends. One such instance involved a psychic who claimed to have information about Brianna's whereabouts. While the family understandably grasped at any thread of hope, these claims proved baseless, diverting valuable resources and adding to their emotional turmoil. There were also rumors of a mysterious letter allegedly written by Brianna after her disappearance, but this too turned out to be a cruel fabrication. These false leads, often amplified by media attention, introduced a layer of misinformation and confusion that complicated the already challenging investigation. They underscored the difficult balance between pursuing every possible avenue and managing the expectations of a grieving family desperately seeking answers. The Maitland family's unwavering determination kept Brianna's case in the public eye. They organized searches, held vigils,
and tirelessly advocated for continued investigative efforts. The lack of concrete leads and the constant stream of misinformation created a cycle of hope and disappointment, making the search for Brianna a particularly agonizing ordeal. The case also highlighted the challenges of investigating disappearances in rural areas,
where vast landscapes and limited surveillance can make it difficult to track movements and secure reliable evidence. This aspect of the investigation underscored the need for effective communication between law enforcement agencies and the importance of community involvement in such cases. The disappearance of Brianna Maitland sent shockwaves through the small, tight-knit community of Montgomery, Vermont. It's a place where everyone knows everyone, and such an incident shattered their sense of security. The sudden absence of a young woman vanished without a trace, left an enduring wound. The initial search efforts, involving hundreds of volunteers, exemplified the community's collective concern and desperation. But as days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, the hope of finding Brianna dwindled, leaving behind a pervasive sense of unease. The uncertainty surrounding her fate fueled anxieties, changing the way people interacted and lived their lives. This case wasn't just a news story. It was a deeply personal experience that resonated with everyone in the area, impacting their daily lives and their perception of safety within their own community. The ongoing mystery continues to cast a long shadow over Montgomery. The emotional toll on Brianna's family is immeasurable. Imagine the agonizing uncertainty, the constant wondering, the relentless replaying of the events leading up to her disappearance in their minds. Bruce and Kelly Maitland, Brianna's parents, have tirelessly pursued answers, navigating the frustrating terrain of law enforcement investigations and media attention. Their unwavering dedication to finding their daughter underscores the profound impact of this case on their lives. Every milestone Brianna missed, birthdays, graduations, holidays, serves as a painful reminder of their loss. The continued absence of closure intensifies their suffering, perpetuating a cycle of grief and frustration. The family has been forced to grapple with the ambiguity of not knowing what happened to their daughter, a burden that no parent should have to bear. Their enduring hope is intertwined with a quiet desperation, a struggle that continues to define their lives. The case also highlighted the psychological impact on a community grappling with unanswered questions. This kind of ambiguity can erode trust, create suspicion, and breed fear. Theories abound, often fueled by speculation and conjecture rather than concrete evidence. This can lead to misplaced blame and further distress for both the family and the community. The constant reminders of Brianna's disappearance, whether through media coverage or local discussions, prevent the community from truly healing. The trauma permeates the social fabric, leaving residents with a lingering sense of vulnerability. It changes the way people interact, the way they raise their children, and the way they perceive their surroundings. This subtle but pervasive shift in community dynamics is a testament to the profound impact of unresolved trauma. The unanswered questions surrounding Brianna's fate have created a wound that continues to fester. This case exemplifies the long-term effects of ambiguous loss. Unlike a definitive death, a disappearance leaves a void filled with unanswered questions and unresolved grief. The absence of closure hinders the grieving process, making it difficult for families and communities to find peace. The continuous cycle of hope and despair takes a tremendous toll on their emotional well-being. This prolonged state of uncertainty can manifest in various ways, including anxiety, depression, and difficulty concentrating. In Brianna's case, the lack of a clear explanation for her vanishing only compounds the pain for those who knew and loved her. It underscores the importance of finding answers, not only for the sake of justice, but also for the emotional healing of a community grappling with the devastating impact of an unsolved mystery. We've spent considerable time establishing Brianna's routine, her relationships, and the baffling lack of initial leads. The investigation, as we've discussed, appeared stagnant for months. Local law enforcement followed every conceivable avenue: interviews with friends, family, co-workers, searches of the surrounding areas, and appeals to the public. Yet, the mystery of Brianna's disappearance remained. Then, a seemingly insignificant detail, overlooked in the initial chaos, began to gain traction. A witness, initially dismissed as unreliable due to a history of minor drug offenses, mentioned seeing a vehicle similar to Brianna's near the abandoned farmhouse where her car was found. He described a distinct rust patch on the rear passenger side, a detail corroborated by photographs of Brianna's car taken weeks before her disappearance. This seemingly minor detail, the rust patch, became a focal point. Investigators revisited the witness statement, this time with a keener eye for detail. Upon further questioning,
The witness recalled seeing a man near the vehicle. He described him as tall, with dark hair, and wearing a dark jacket. While this description was generic, it offered a new lead, a potential suspect.
The renewed focus on the abandoned farmhouse also yielded results.
A forensic team, revisiting the scene, discovered a small, almost imperceptible trace of blood near the rear of the farmhouse. DNA analysis confirmed the blood belonged to Brianna Maitland.
This chilling discovery transformed the abandoned farmhouse from a point of interest to a potential crime scene.
The discovery of Brianna's blood, understandably, shifted the investigation into high gear. The previously dismissed witness's account now held significant weight. Law enforcement began a thorough search for individuals matching the witness's description who had any connection to the abandoned farmhouse, or, more importantly, to Brianna. The focus sharpened. A man named Richard, known to frequent the area and fitting the witness's general description, emerged as a person of interest. Here, he had a history of petty crimes and a reputation for being volatile. While no concrete evidence initially linked Richard to Brianna, the circumstantial evidence was mounting.
The investigation into Richard intensified. His alibi for the night of Brianna's disappearance proved flimsy and contradictory. Further investigation revealed that Richard had access to a vehicle similar to the one seen near the farmhouse, complete with a rust patch on the rear passenger side. When questioned, Richard became agitated and defensive, further raising suspicion. The combined weight of the witness testimony, the blood evidence, Richard's shaky alibi, and his access to a similar vehicle led to his arrest. It was a quiet, almost anticlimactic event. There were no dramatic pronouncements of guilt or tearful confessions, just the cold, hard reality of an arrest warrant being served.
It's a chilling thought, isn't it?
Brianna, a vibrant young woman, vanishes without a trace after a seemingly ordinary workday. Her car found abandoned so close to her place of employment, yet no definitive answers emerge even after extensive searches and investigations. The timeline, meticulously pieced together from witness accounts and work records, only deepens the mystery. She clocked out, seemingly drove away, and then nothing. No confirmed sightings, no credible leads, just a void where a life used to be. It underscores the unsettling reality that even in seemingly normal, everyday settings, the potential for something sinister to lurk just beneath the surface exists. The Maitland case remains a stark reminder of this unsettling truth. Precisely. The absence of a clear motive adds another layer of complexity to this case. Was it a random act of violence? A planned abduction? Or something else entirely? We're left grappling with these questions. Even now, years later, the theories abound, ranging from involvement with illicit activities to a chance encounter with someone harboring malicious intent. The lack of concrete evidence makes it incredibly difficult to definitively say what happened to Brianna. The initial investigation, while thorough, was hampered by the early assumption that she may have simply run away. This potentially crucial lost time could have allowed vital clues to disappear, further obscuring the truth. The case highlights the critical importance of treating every missing person case with the utmost seriousness from the outset. The rural setting of Brianna's disappearance plays a significant role as well. While seemingly peaceful, such environments can provide ample opportunity for someone to disappear unnoticed. The vastness of the landscape, combined with limited surveillance and witnesses, creates a challenging environment for investigators. Even with extensive searches conducted by law enforcement and volunteers, the terrain itself could have concealed vital clues. The isolation inherent in rural areas can also be a factor, potentially making it easier for someone to commit a crime and evade detection. This case serves as a sobering reminder that danger can lurk anywhere, even in the most seemingly idyllic settings. And what about the abandoned car, found so close to her workplace, yet seemingly offering no tangible clues? Was it deliberately left there as a diversion, or was Brianna interrupted before she could leave the area? The positioning of the vehicle, the lack of signs of a struggle, all contribute to the enigma. Did someone witness something that day but, for whatever reason, chose not to come forward? The smallest detail, overlooked or dismissed at the time, could hold the key to unraveling this mystery. The Maitland case remains a haunting example of a life abruptly cut short, a family left with unanswered questions, and a community forever marked by the shadow of the unknown. It forces us to confront the uncomfortable truth that evil can hide in plain sight, masked by the ordinary, waiting to strike when we least expect it. What truly happened to Brianna Maitland? Thank you for walking with us through the shadows. The story doesn't end here. It lingers, echoing through time, reminding us that the darkest truths often hide in plain sight. Until next time, stay curious,
and stay vigilant.
This case remains unsolved. Perhaps the truth is still out there.